And we're live.
We're live. Yes, we are.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back, Rick.
Oh, well, yes. And so good to see you
So,
again.
so good to see you too, Rick. And welcome to an honest show.
An honest look.
An honest look. I can't believe I messed it up like that. It's an honest look. It takes some getting used to, right? Even though I've been staring at that logo for like a month and a half now.
That's right. That logo that's just happens to be right up there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right up there.
yeah, right up there. Yes, an honest look. Yes, welcome everybody. Yes, this is our launch, our premiere, or whatever you want to call it. Our first episode of this. No pun intended, this new look for us, this new
This new
direction.
look for our like a little facelift that we
A
got.
little. Hey, what are you saying now? Come on.
Well, we lifted up everything else.
Yes, yes. So before we get into the show, there's something that you kind of wanted to do, wouldn't
Oh
it?
yeah, yes, yes. Strictly Italian prosecco
Okay.
to celebrate. And don't worry, we're not gonna be getting drunk on the show, but we're gonna do a little toast. I'm gonna try not to get everything wet
Yeah, yeah.
to
You
celebrate, right?
yeah. I'm pouring. I'm
get,
pouring.
get your glasses out, everyone. See if I can do
Mm-mm.
this without.
Whoa, this is bubbly. It's okay. Put that away.
All right, are you
All
guys
right.
ready?
Whoops.
Ooh, one,
Don't
two.
hurt yourself. Yay! Love
Yay!
the sound. Yes. Yes. Oh, and
Just
she's even got champagne glasses. Ah,
yes,
or flutes, as they might call them.
flutes.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers
Yes,
to
and to everybody
you and
that's
all
there.
the hard work launching this
Yes, yes.
to new beginnings and the continuation of what we've done so far.
Absolutely. Here's to the future.
Okay, it's probably going to be it for me. All right,
Just
so
letting the
welcome,
bubbles dance in
welcome.
my mouth right now. So, yeah, please, anybody that's on there, please say hello, welcome. Tell, uh, that's the way we can engage with you is by putting things in the chat, and then we can actually see you, and you can tell us a little bit, where you're from, or anything you want, and please, during our episode, ask questions, make comments. We will read them as the show carries on, just like we've done in the past. But yeah, so where would you like to start?
Well, let's start with the topic, right? That we selected. We selected this topic of redefining, right? And I think that's so relevant to the process of self-development and transformation, or creating any change in your life, right? Redefining really who you are, right? In this case, you and I did this for our show, right?
Yep.
So technically for a business that we have together, but at the same time, at the bottom of it all is the two people that are running this business, right? So us. So it's always about really redefining yourself within the context of what you're trying to change, right? And the same is true for your personal life. Like if you're trying to change something in your relationships, if you're trying to change something within your work environment, your parenting, like it always, and we always talk about this, it always goes back to pointing the finger inwards, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Excuse me, I've got a bit of just still trying to get over a cold, but you know, uh, there's kind of one step that I've always realized, especially in a coaching conversation, is this realization of not necessarily a need to change, but there's an evolution that happens.
Right.
And there was one thing that I love about the history behind our original show, which was Wellness Wednesday, and how that just started. It was a very spontaneous, very forward. Let's just do it. And and we had a blast. Like we were really having a lot of fun with it. And every week it was fresh and new. And, and so some people would kind of look at it as like, why would you change? Like it seems to be, working and all this kind of stuff. But there's something that you kind of realize, you just start to know that it's like, it's time to go into the cocoon and do this metamorphosis and just
Hmm.
see what the butterfly looks like at the end. And it just so happened I happened to go on a holiday for 5 weeks.
Yeah, we noticed.
We noticed, yes, yeah,
I noticed.
we noticed. And it gave us an opportunity, even prior to that, to sort of reevaluate and relook at, all right, so what would be the future? How can
Right,
we redefine the future for us?
right.
And it seemed like a natural place where we could just sort of hibernate for a moment
Hmm.
and just have all our creative juices sort of mull around, because we were doing a lot of mulling and
Yeah.
research and what do you think of this and what do you think, and that alone I really got a blast out of.
Yeah, I mean, we went through all of different steps of creation, right? It's a very similar, as a designer, it's a very similar process, right? There's the brainstorming, there's the idea, and then the brainstorming, and then you research, and then you try things on, and you just
Hmm.
sit with it for a little bit, and then you look at what others are doing that you like, right? It's a whole process, right? And
Yeah.
what I liked about it was, yeah, it took us a little bit to do it, but we also gave ourselves the time and didn't feel that pressure to get it done
No.
quickly, or, and we did it at a time where it felt like, it felt like it was time to grow, right? It
Hmm.
was time to like take the next step. Like all things, at some point, even if they're going well, you're doing them well, you outgrow them, right?
Yeah.
When you do something very comfort, and I'm like very guilty of this. If I do something very comfortably, I master it, then I just get a little complacent and I lose a little
Mm.
motivation. And so I need that extra push. And there's something to be looked at there. Trust me, I'm working on that at the moment, right? So I need the next
Yeah.
push. I need the next challenge, right? And I think that's how businesses grow, right? By really pushing yourself out of that comfort zone. It's really, really nice to at first not know what you're doing and then find your footing, and then you finally get it, and now you're doing it right, or you're doing it comfortably for a while. But then to also know, like, let's not just sit comfortably here, because as human beings, we're really wired to sit with that comfort, to really stay in the habitual state of being of things, right? Because it becomes easier, right? The more you do it, and the easier it becomes, but
Hmm.
then you kind of stay there as well, right? So
And
if you
that's the
want to
part that
grow,
becomes uncomfortable.
yeah,
Like it's kind of like this little, like it's a cycle, right? When you first get involved in anything, there's the uncomfortableness of learning the new, whatever it is, and
right,
it feels like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get the hang of this. I don't know, anybody that's ever started a new job with new skills has that first feeling. And then
right.
all of a sudden you kind of get to the point where, huh, like that wasn't so bad. Like this has become quite easy. I
Hmm.
personally have found that, much like you, like when you get into that comfort zone, there's a point where that comfort zone almost feels, there's something dragging you or pushing you or nudging you, and as much as you want to fight to stay comfortable, there's something nagging, and I think we both answered the nag, if you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, there can be some indicators, right?
Yeah.
Where like you feel like it's starting to just feel like you can do it like the back of your hands. It
Yeah.
starts to feel like, I don't know, like the motivation drops a little bit, or like the growth stalls a little bit, right? um, I think there are indicators there, right? But then we can really tell ourselves stories about why not, right? About
Mhm.
why, oh, well, it's not broken, keep it, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Why fix it if it's not broken,
why
right?
fix it,
Yeah.
right? So there was some resistance there for a minute, right? And then we thought about it, and it's like, no, this is the right thing to do, right? It's really about, and life is about evolving and transforming, and like really truly always stopping and asking yourself, who am I in this moment? Does this still fit? Where do I
Mhm.
want to take this? Right.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that we're going to keep changing the name of the show
Yeah.
or anything, but
Oh, by the way,
you know,
next week we will be. Yes.
yeah, but it's a little bit like we're becoming an adult, right? Well, now I'm really like establishing who I am and defining who I am. And that's a little bit how it was. We tested it out. And like in that testing process, we made it very easy for ourselves to actually do the thing that we were going to be doing with this, right? Like without really putting all that extra work, ahead of time in branding. And because, yes, there was the need to really understand who we were and what we were doing with this, right?
Mhm.
And you can't really convey that effectively unless you really, really know who you are and what you're doing. And I think we came to a point that we really, really knew what we were doing with this and where we could take it. And that was the right moment, right?
Absolutely. And when I was involved in some corporate planning and redefining the future in an organization, it was really about, it started off, well, what did you really want? Like, what is the vision? What is the vision? And once you established a vision, it becomes much easier to make decisions in the future, because now it's like, well, does it support our vision or doesn't support our vision?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very much like the coaching process,
Oh,
right?
totally.
When
Yeah.
someone comes to you and they want to change, you really have the initial phase is really that phase of clarifying what they want, who they are, and what is the vision. What's your ideal vision? What's your life vision, right?
Yeah.
Where are we taking this? What is the end goal? What's the outcome that you want, right? So it is a process, right? It doesn't just get created because you just come up with it.
Hmm.
There's reflective work that goes into that. There's like finding out who you are and defining who you are and really, really matching it up with your values and what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? And that's kind of what we did, and which is why you felt very much appropriate to start this show talking about this topic, because it is the exact same process that anyone that wants to create transformation and change in their lives has to go through, right?
Absolutely.
Even when you think that even when you think that it's super clear, I've found in my own experience that even when something is super clear, if I do sit down from time to time and revisit it, there are some things that have changed. There are some
Hmm.
things that I see a little differently and want to do differently, right?
Yeah.
So it's a process that's actually ever evolving, right?
And in some ways, it's a natural process that we seem to
Yeah,
fight against, because
yeah.
I noticed, particularly, like anybody that knows me knows that I have sentimental value. I hang on to a lot of things.
You and I both.
Yeah. But but there's but there's a realization that, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It only becomes a problem when it gets in the way of something else.
Right.
So I've noticed in our brainstorming and interaction and trying different things, that certain my own personal biases, call them what you want, creep up.
Yeah.
And but me allowing and noticing that, um, really kind of, as part of our growth process, is to look for something fresh and new, because my
Hmm.
biases are all based on past information.
Right, right.
So
Conditioning.
conditioning,
Yeah,
absolutely, it's all
yeah.
conditioning. So if we're looking for a fresh and new perspective, I have to really be aware of my biases and drop them. And the whole, some of the concepts I was living by, and some of the new things I learned from you when it comes to branding and various other things and design, right? Um,
Hmm.
it's sort of like, yeah, I know stuff, But if you're looking for something fresh and new to redefine, a lot of it is that process of letting go.
Of letting go of what you know, right? And
Absolutely.
trusting the unknown, right? Which
Yes.
in the
The
moment
uncertainty.
doesn't feel like you can trust it because it's not what you know. And yeah, I feel like I have witnessed some of that for both of us, right? It's been a little bit of a learning how to even cohabitate in this business together, how to like give each other space,
Yeah.
right? We come from such different backgrounds, right? But yet, I think that the thing that brings us together, coaching, is the thing that has allowed us to kind of find this balance in this and know how to navigate it together without, even when it got, there were moments where there was a little bit of doubt and resistance, right? There was an understanding of, we were both coaches, so really understanding, oh, he's going to take him a minute, right? But he'll get there, right? Or I'm sure you did the other way around. I'm sure the designer background creeped in, like, because I can be very firm.
We'll just let it settle, let it settle.
Yeah, like, and for me, actually, it was a beautiful process of allowing this part of me to kind of come back out and let it live together with the coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
This identity that I let go of at some point completely so that I could embody this other identity as a coach. I realized, you know what? I don't really have to let it go completely. I can wear both hats.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where I had to let go completely of being a designer so that I could embody this because it was getting in the way of me
Yeah.
doing this new thing, right? And now I realize, yeah, the skills are transferable and I can absolutely jump back and forth the two. And it's actually really interesting. I was observing myself, and you actually made a couple of comments. You're like, you're full on in work mode. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I look like when I'm like in design mode, right? Like it's actually really interesting. It was interesting for me to observe that in myself, like the habitual things that I do when I'm in like design
Mm-hmm.
mode,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's so different than the way I am when I'm a coach.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very interesting. And I realized, yes, I can jump back and forth without really, it's not that hard for me to do that. And perhaps is because I completely retired one part of it, this other identity for a while, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
I could get completely comfortable with this one,
Mm-hmm.
but the other one didn't really go anywhere. The
No,
knowledge that I
it
have,
doesn't.
it's still
It doesn't.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
I kind of I had this insight the other day. I don't know if I told you we bought a new car last year, and it's a hybrid. So
Okay.
it's half electric and half gas. And part of the game when I get into the car is to see how low the gas mileage I can get, like, or how long I can go on a liter here, gallon for you.
Right,
Or
right.
wait a minute, but you're Italian, you understand liters.
Yeah, I do. It's four
Um,
of them in a gallon, four
yeah,
and a half.
exactly. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. So it's a game. And part of that game is to be aware of the dashboard, because the dashboard tells me when I'm in electrical and then when I'm in gas. And
Mm,
so so when I notice that I'm too much in the gas power zone, it gives me an opportunity, if I'm in the game, to let off on the gas. So you
right.
start to find sweet spots. And this is
Mm-hmm.
what I noticed in this whole process of becoming and redefining our program and everything else that I do, is that there are sweet spots, and those sweet spots are when we're at the most efficient level. And part of that is, oh, I'm too much in my head, I need to get back down, or I'm really hanging on to something too long and I need to let go of it. And there's this fine little balance, like you were talking about, maybe even a dance, if you want to say it
Right,
that way,
right,
that you're in harmony. You start to feel that balance, and then when you're in that, we call it flow.
right, right.
And there was that point where we started, and even today, like all the different things that were happening, we were all both in flow.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, shit was getting done.
Shit was getting done. It's true. And you know that you kind of what you're describing kind of made me notice that I coached the designer version of me a few times,
Hmm.
right? I was like, you're really getting into that rabbit hole where this is gonna be like it's gonna go on forever, right? We have to make a decision. Like there's infinite possibilities when it comes down
Yes.
to
Yes.
design and creation and
Oh
visual
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
We've got to pull that trigger, right? And I didn't have that ability when I was designing. Like sometimes it would be the deadline,
Yeah.
right? That I would come up against the deadline, and it's like, okay, I gotta let it go, and then it would be forced, and I would be like, oh, maybe I should have, only if, like, and I would question things. So I actually found myself improved in that
Mm.
designer role
Yeah.
compared to the way I used to be.
Yeah.
Like a lot less stress with a lot more boundaries, even around not working 18 hours because I want to get something done and I get in the flow.
Yeah.
And I think when you create something, you can easily get in the flow of things, get in the flow and
Hmm.
go for hours without eating or taking a break,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I stopped myself and reminded myself of that multiple times. I was like, okay, we're not going to do this the way we always have.
Hmm.
We're going to use our new skills to do this a little bit better. So it was actually personally a really important moment of that came like full circle for me for the past couple of years of really realizing that what I grieved for a while, it's not something that truthfully needed all the grieving that I did because it's still accessible to me. I can still be that, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's an important thing to emphasize and speak to because I talk often to people that, especially coaches, that are like shifting their careers from an old career they had into perhaps coaching, and there's this inner battle, inner conflict of how do I, like I can't quite put this head off and put
Hmm.
the new one on, and they're in this transition where
Yes.
like the old habitual, like career path or identity is so strong still that kicks in and
Yeah.
sometimes comes in the way of them becoming the new identity, right? And yeah, it really got me thinking about, well, for me, it was very cold turkey. I had to let go of it completely for
Yeah.
a while,
Yeah.
and it took a
Yeah.
while to wear this one. And now I'm actually pleased to say it's not gone. It's still there, and it's going to be useful. Obviously, we're in designing clothes right now, but even that, right, is transferable skills,
Okay. A little
right?
little background here. Somebody was picking clothes for me. Um,
No, but I'm just saying, like I think even this concept of I don't know how we ended up talking about this because it's very much what it is, right?
yeah.
Skills are transferable. Skills are
Absolutely.
transferable in everything. Like your
Yeah.
work skills can be transferable into your, like I feel like I use my coaching skills in communicating with my
Oh,
relationships, my
100%.
children,
100%.
everyone in my life differently. And it's really showing in the way is being received
Yeah.
and how people are responding to it. And also the quality of my life has changed, right? And that's a transferable skill,
Yes.
right?
What's not
So
transferable, I find anyways,
yeah.
is those conditioning things,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? So
Those we want
because
to let go of.
right. So I'm all for skill. Like, as far as the intellect is concerned, there's some huge value in that. And flow comes from knowing at the right time what skill you need to bring, right? And that's those skills are all from every life experience you've ever had and that you've ever experienced. So, and it's not about learning new skills and various other things. We have this built-in GPS that when we let go of the conditioning and allow the process to be more natural, which we had moments like that. And this is how we got to this moment. Like we let
Yeah.
go, for me, let go of a lot of things that, wait a minute, no, we need this. We no, like who says we, right? Like let's try something fresh. Let's do something different. And allow the process to have its natural course instead of trying to force something.
Mhm.
And we dropped a lot of different things, like, should we start the show next week? No, we're not ready.
Right, right. Yeah, let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
How we did let go of, like really used our coaching skills through this. I'm very proud
Absolutely.
of us, right?
Oh, very much so.
Like, is anyone going to die if we don't go live next week, right? Would you rather go live next week or would you rather get it right? And we
Yeah.
both were like, yeah, rather get it right. It's
Yeah.
okay. Like, and just really being okay with that element of flexibility,
That's
right?
the key, the flexibility
Yeah,
piece, right?
flexibility.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't, although, the one thing that we could get caught in is perfectionism, right? You mentioned it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that there was a feeling of not being ready. Not necessarily we were looking to get everything all right and get our ducks in a row. Like, we still haven't got all our ducks in a row.
We still have some stuff
No,
we're working on. Yeah.
but we're very comfortable now. We have a better feeling to where we are,
Hmm.
and here we are. First
And
show.
here we are. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. And like, and often even I feel like there were moments that were like, okay, we need to do this, and then we'll have to change it. Like, we got into
Yeah.
that, and then we both were like, okay, what's step one?
What is
Let's
the
write
first?
the, yeah, let's write them down. What is step one?
Yeah.
And again, this was like a beautiful example of how we really coach people and how transformation happens for
Yeah.
anyone, right? Because you're able to just really focus on that one step that you need to take in that moment. You're aware of what it takes, right? So that you can plan strategically and have like, have an overall plan, but within that plan, also be flexible
Yeah.
because truthfully, growth can only come in within that space of flexibility, right? Nothing really grows out of rigidity,
No,
right?
no, no. And this is what I admire, and I think our partnership kind of works so well, is that we're both. Yeah, here's the analogy: we're cut from the same cloth, so to speak. In our approach to coaching, is we're very experimental. Like, we are walking our talk,
Yes.
and this is a demonstration of us walking our talk, because we believe so much in what we do and what we teach people, that it is part of our life. This is how we process. This is life, happening the way it's supposed to, kind of a deal.
Well,
So,
it's such a we're so fortunate. We
mm,
get our training ground in our own lives, right?
mhm,
Every coach should walk their talk. Every coach should be coaching themselves every day because we're life coaches,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
So we have to
every
get into
coach,
life to.
yeah, live by what you're teaching, right? And sometimes it's not super easy to always be like, well, maybe I need to work on this piece, right? And really, and I love that you use the word experiential because it is very experiential. When you experience something, then you're able to go and like, give that to somebody else in a very different way. You're able to relate to their story. You're able to really connect with them, right? And that's actually really at the basis of any relationship, any powerful relationship, is that ability to connect and relate,
Yeah,
right? And the only way to really learn that in a way that stays with you by experiencing it on yourself. So and not get caught into the what is everyone gonna think, what are they gonna, I'm not gonna look like I
are they
have
going
it
to judge us?
together, right? That's all conditioning. That is all conditioning, right? So I would say to anyone who's trying to redefine who they are and wants to become somebody else, really sit in a humble place with the process, right? Of really accepting that it takes some time, accepting your place in it, accepting where you're at, right? And that should be really a rule for life in general, right?
It should be.
Being
It should be
patient,
taught in school.
yeah, being patient and having acceptance for yourself and for your process and for where you're at, and not, the other thing that I learned is really not to give too much power to other people's opinions and comments, right? Really always know who you go to for advice, really always know who has experienced what you're seeking for advice to get advice about.
Hmm.
And always in doubt, always sit with your own truth. Like, does it resonate with me? Does it feel right? Does it not? Is it resistance, or is it that it doesn't really
And does
feel
it serve a
right?
purpose, right? Does it
Exactly.
support my vision or doesn't it, of who I want to become? Like, it's not one of the things uh, I know from my principles coaching is it's not about becoming something else. It's about becoming more of who you really
Who you
are.
are.
Right?
Yes,
And I think
absolutely.
this is why I love our new podcast title, "An Honest Look," is because to have an honest look, you need to drop the personas. You need to
Yeah.
become humble, and I know we were both very open in sharing our own experiences, the good ones and the bad ones,
Yeah.
because that is life. It's not, it is a roller coaster, and how graceful we are in the lows and how grateful we are in the highs really dictates how wonderful our life will be. So yeah.
And really, even accepting those moments when, you know what, you may not be doing things the way that you expect yourself to do them because you are in that habitual behavior that's so hidden from you, right? And having been able to shift the judging yourself or getting angry or defensive into, oh, I guess I did it again, and have a little empathy and compassion for
Compassion
yourself,
for yourself.
and
Yeah.
be open to be like, oh yeah, well, I'm less than perfect. Now I see it. It's kind of amazing that I couldn't 2 seconds ago, but now I do. And be really open to receive that feedback and get accept the other point of view,
Well,
right?
totally. Like, and that's being human.
That's
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 being human.
being that's being very skilled at doing life.
Well,
I feel like, right?
it well
In relationships,
it's a
especially.
practice, right?
Yeah, it's a
It's a
practice.
practice,
Yeah,
right? Like if
yeah,
we're all masters practicing, right? And so part of me getting the best fuel economy out of my vehicle is through practice and being aware. So I'm constantly noticing, and what's my gauge in life is my feelings, is that's my
yeah,
gauge. So if I'm feeling this way, then I know my thinking is that way. And so do I need to slow down? Overwhelmness is one of the things that creeps in quite often, and a little bit
hmm,
more anxiety and
yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
So when I feel it, that's that's my check engine light coming on. And then it's like, okay, so who do I need to be in this moment, or what, so I need to be relaxed. I need to slow down, take a bit of an ease off the gas pedal, and bring the band down, kind of a thing. I'm pushing too hard. And there was a time in my life where it's like, no, I have to push harder. I have to get this through. I have to,
hmm,
right? And I
yeah,
realized, no, and there's nothing that's going to happen if I just slow down a bit. As a matter of
yeah.
fact,
Is
it's probably going to
this
work out better.
exactly because we have this illusion that there's something running behind us, right? There's this rush to get somewhere,
Yeah,
right? And sometimes that somewhere keeps shifting, right? So it takes us a while to get there, and so we get
yeah,
frustrated.
yeah.
But really, what I realized also is that not only in those moments that I'm maybe triggered and not at my best, it's not useful for me to get all mad about myself or get frustrated. And it's much more useful to laugh about it and be like, okay, I need to work on this, fine,
Hmm.
right? But also to just really choose at all times to enjoy what I'm doing.
Mm,
Because when I enjoy what I'm doing, the results and the outcomes are completely different,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And yes, there are going to be things that we're going to do in our businesses that we're not going to like, or even in our own lives. Laundry, anyone?
Dishes.
But I always talk about laundry. And, so there are some things that are necessary, learning to recognize those things, right? But if your motivation, ultimate outcome up there is really something that you love and you enjoy and you aim at getting to, then this process is going to really look different because you're going to enjoy what you're doing, right? So with that value being a part of it, for me, I feel like that is such an important thing too. Never believe in absolutes. Say, I have to do this if I want to grow my business. I have to do that if I want to, like raise good kids or whatever it is, right? And always be like, is that really true? What else is also true? What
Mm.
else can I do?
Yeah.
Right? Which one of these options fits me better? Which one of these options would I actually enjoy doing? Right?
Yeah.
And not feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
Really make sure that what you do is something that you love to do, that you enjoy, that there's a part of it that you enjoy.
Not
And if
only,
you don't, create
yeah,
it.
and not
Right?
Joseph Campbell in his book, he talks, or in some of his lectures. If anybody don't know Joseph Campbell, just Google him. His most one of his famous quotes is "Follow your bliss." And
Yeah.
again, it's really for me, it's getting in touch with those feelings, like when things aren't right. So as much as I may not like doing dishes, I can I know I can still find joy in doing dishes because it's just part of my life. When I let go of the struggle,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, just let go of that. Oh, I don't want to, and just see what happens.
Right.
It really is amazing what happens. It
Or
really.
get
Well, you,
creative in making
well,
it
you start to get
likable.
creative, right? You start to
Yeah.
go,
I
you know,
listen to a book while I
yep,
do laundry. I'm like,
oh,
I'm listening to my book, or
yeah,
I'm just listening to a podcast. So it's like,
yeah,
oh, now I don't mind it as much,
yeah.
right? So it's been certainly a process of growth. A lot has happened in 5 weeks. It almost feels like it's been forever, doesn't it? Time is such an illusion, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love what Einstein says. It's so subjective, right? When you're with your most famous, with the person you love dearly, time just goes so by quickly. But when you're sitting on a thumbtack, but but that is life. Like like the time it just goes through. And I think as we go with our podcasts in the future, I mean, we're going to be talking and sharing ideas around making this journey as blissful and as joyful. And I like what Michael Neal is often quoted: "Wouldn't it be a shame to have a wonderful life and not notice it?"
Yeah, it would be a real
Yeah,
shame, right?
yeah, it would be. And
Yeah,
I think a lot
yeah,
of us, unfortunately, get so caught up in what's happening around us that we forget how wonderful our lives can be or are, right?
or they are. All the wonderful parts of it are
Yeah,
already there,
they're
right? We
already
don't notice them because we get caught in the anxiety, we get caught in the rush, we get caught in the shoulds and woulds and need to,
there. Yeah,
right? So we forget to just like pause and notice what's already there and actually make sure that we are enjoying it.
yeah.
So
So,
yeah,
so
so much to learn.
oh, so much to learn, and I invite. Actually, would take a pause for a second. I know there's some people listening. Just put in the chat if you heard something of value today. Um,
Right. If you have
yes,
any
whatever.
questions, if yeah, what would you like to hear about? Because we want to continue to build this and tailor it to what you want to hear about,
Yeah.
kind of co-created with you. And we want to bring in a lot more guests
Yes.
to join us and talk about topics that we can learn from, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be very exciting. I'm really, really excited. We already have a few plans
Oh,
ahead of us.
yes. Well, we've got to, but our intent is to bring value,
Right.
and as long as we're bringing value, we will continue to do what we're doing. We both love doing this, and um, yeah, I don't know what more to say really right now.
Well, just say hi, give us feedback, send us your love, follow us, subscribe, tell us what you want to hear about, and ask your questions. We'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah.
We will be announcing actually when all this stuff is going to be on an actual podcast. That's a part
Yes.
that we're
Very
working
shortly.
on right
Yeah.
now. It's going to be soon. So this is going to be, you're going to have access to it through a podcast. And yeah, and then we'll announce next week's topic. We're
Yeah.
going to be back next week.
So yeah, I mean, who would have thought to launch a podcast you had to do at least one episode? So this is the
That's
episode.
all you need.
Well, we needed to have one episode, right, to
Ah,
launch it, right?
what do you mean? We have 40 episodes that we're going to load up
Well,
on there.
that's true too. That's true. We got some of our older shows, but moving forward, we will have some fresh and new stuff too. And yeah, and if you joined a little bit late, there's always the recordings both on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page.
Yeah,
And
it's already available, right?
yeah,
Yeah, as
absolutely.
soon as this ends. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Yeah,
Any excuse, any
congratulations.
excuse to drink, right?
Excuse me, drink.
Mm. But I mean, it's been worth it. It's been,
Congratulations to us. And I'm looking forward to next week, my friend.
yes. So thank you everybody that joined us, and please come back next week.
Thank you. Oh, hi, Kimberly. Thank you. Thank you. We love you. We're going to have you back too, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Invites will be going out.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah. All right, Fati.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye, everyone.